So today I'll be showing basically I've installed my hella sharp tones already. I should have done a little bit of a write-up prior, but so basically it comes in a box. You got two horns, the relay. I like the sound of these better a little bit than the super tones, but I'm just going to show you guys basically, even though it's all hooked up ready, I'll give you a little overview of how I did it. So first, what I ended up doing was all this trim right up here I ended up removing. So you know, it's pretty easy. There's two clips right here. So one, and second one's right over here. Come out nice and easy. This comes off. You know, I've done these before to clean underneath here and everything, so it's pretty easy. And then you got three more to remove this. So got one, second one's right about in the middle. If you have a they actually sell a little tool to remove these clips. It makes it a lot easier. I have one, I just can't find it, but luckily the Subaru ones are a lot easier than the other ones I've used. So flathead just works. Remove this piece. So once you have that removed, what you'll end up seeing back here is right about here you have one of the tones. I'm not sure if it's the high or the low tone, but what I came to find out in one of the videos I saw for an older Crosstrek, they only mentioned this one right here. There's actually another one basically underneath the headlight here, and instead of removing the whole bumper like I've seen other people did, what I did was I took this off right here like you'd be replacing the air filter, unscrewed this one clamp right here, and then these two bolts right there. This came off right nice and easy, and there's a drain tank down there that basically runs all the way down, and right next to that is where the one of the other OEM horns is. So I disconnected that, and I left the wire there, but I disconnected it. This way you don't have, like, essentially aside from the hella, you don't have another tone going. So once that was disconnected, I went ahead and came back over here, and I left all the horns in the stock locations like you can see, just in case I ever had an issue with a relay and I wasn't able to get one. I could just easily hook these back up and I have some sort of functioning horn. I can see if I could get the relay wiring diagram up. It's basically in the hella box though. That's the one I followed, and I tapped in here for the trigger on the relay, and then there was two holes in the factory front. I guess that's the bumper bar right up there, so I use those. I ended up using these little plastic washers to kind of extend them. I don't know if you can see it a little bit, but otherwise it was rubbing up against the grill. So but this way, no drilling or anything like that. I ran the wire along there. I believe it might have been 14 gauge. I'd have to double check, but you know, I wired tube with the shrink heat shrink on all the connections, keep it kind of clean, use some dielectric grease. But basically I ran one here, I tied it together with this horn right over there, you kind of tell, and then from there sneak through all of this to back underneath this panel is where I actually have a dedicated fuse box, or no, I shouldn't say fuse box, more of a an additional auxiliary fuse panel to run additional items. So this one's another easy one, just two little things that pop off, again just like before, nice and easy. These ones are even easier, I think. So those come off, and just pops off like that. So as you can see, basically what I did was from over here I ran a main power that comes up through here, and you could use an inline fuse. I actually like to use these breakers. This one's a 30 amp, because instead, if you ever ended up overdoing it, instead of blowing a fuse and needing another one, you just need to reset this breaker. It goes to my fuse panel here, It's got a little, just one I had laying around, just got the casing for it. But I have the wire running to there, and I mounted the relay right here. A lot of the things I use for ground are right over here, and it all traces back to the horn. But it's pretty nice to keep the relay here since it's not a waterproof. It gets some decent amount of shielding, and I kept everything there. I had to order these relay harnesses to make the job a lot easier from Amazon. I think it was like 10 bucks for like a pack of 5 or something. I can show you guys those in a bit, but that's how I ended up, and just zip tied everything, keep it as nice as I can. I ended up ordering some tubing to put all this wiring in yet. It just hasn't come yet, so once I'm able to get that in, I will I'll post it on how that looks. Kind of hides the wires up a little bit, so that's that, and I'll show you guys how it sounds in a bit. So as I mentioned earlier, Hella gives a bunch of instructions on how to wire it. This is inside the box. You also have this on the side of the box. You have 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. I ended up following 2B here. This was the easiest application for me. So basically you have this stuff you don't need to worry about. Your horn is going to send out power to the OEM horn over one wire. They are grounded by the mounting tabs on the OEM horn, so that's why you don't really see it in this diagram. But basically number 86 running into the relay is the existing power source for the OEM horn. So that was where I showed you I had tapped into the existing horn up front for the relay. Then 87, I daisy chained both these horns together running over to 87, and that's, you know, once the relay is triggered, it sends power to the new Hella horns, and that's what makes, you know, them go off. I had also daisy chained their grounds together and brought it back to the ground, and I tied it in with 85, which is the ground for the relay. If you want to ground it out by the, you know, somewhere up front where the horns are mounted, go ahead. My cable was stranded together, so it was just easy. The ground ran all the way by the power source, so it just came with it. And then here for, you know, number 30, they have you using a inline fuse straight to the battery, but as I previously showed you, I have an auxiliary fuse panel, and I went to that, but it's the same concept. So that's basically that. And I had mentioned how I had gotten a box of a couple of these from Amazon. However, the fuses this comes with are different than the fuse that comes with the Hella. So if you were to order something like this, the brand is Nightlight, a 5-pin automotive fuse. Don't follow this diagram because it's not going to pin out the same as the Hellas. So just put the Hella fuse in there and you'll see where you want to go. One of these wasn't used. I want to say it was the red. The middle red one is not used with the Hella relay, so that's the dead middle one. It just uses all the outer ones. So that's just something to keep in mind if you go this route. But like I said, these are pretty cheap, and they work. Just, you could have made your own wiring harness, but to me it was just easier to pay the 10 bucks and get these.